Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Afi and I'm back again with another video. I'm just gonna start this video off by saying I have really tried to take this video 3 times. Yeah, I did last week, I didn't like it. I did today. I had my earphones in my laptop and so of course there was no sound picking up, so I was so frustrated. I was just like, oh my god. Anyway, I'm so glad that I'm getting to do this video. This is one video that I'm so excited about. I'm excited to watch it back because this is something that I absolutely love. So today's video is going to be a chapter review on the book Real Love in Dating, and this book is written by Greg Bear. And I just want to give a background of where I found the book. I'm basically, in my church, we don't date, we go for matching. So there's this matching support group that I'm in, and in the matching support group, we decided to read this book. And so I read the first chapter, and so we're doing a chapter a month. And I read the first chapter, and I just felt like I have to do a video on this. There's so much to unpack in this book, and there's just so much, and I absolutely love it. So I hope you enjoy this chapter review. If you'd like me to keep doing chapter reviews, please let me know. Because ultimately I just want to do what you guys want to see, but I also want to do what I like. So we're just trying to see. So I don't know if I'm going to do every single chapter, but this is chapter 1 of the book. It has so much knowledge already. I have literally I have suggested this book to a lot of my friends. I'm always sending samples around. When you buy a book on Kindle, then you get the option to send a sample to someone so that they can read it and see if they like it, and then they choose to buy it or not buy it depending on whether they can or not. So I sent the sample to a few of my friends. It's been such a good book. I feel like everyone that I've sent it was like, wow, this is actually really cool. So even though they didn't read it, they really liked it. So that was really cool for me. So then I decided that I need to do this video. I'm going to begin by saying that I am first of all using my laptop to just reference the book and stuff like that, and so I may not be focusing on the camera or looking in the same place that I usually do because I am using my laptop to reference the book. Okay, so the first chapter is called Getting the Foundation Right, and the first, I think it's the first topic says what we all really want from a relationship. And the author begins by talking about how if you're looking for a quick fix to relationships, this is not the book for that. This is mainly about setting the foundation for your relationships. Yeah. Then he starts the book by giving an analogy of a couple that was looking for a piece of property, and these people looked and searched everywhere, newspapers, magazines, literally on the internet, just everywhere. They looked for it, couldn't find it. Then after some time they found one, and it was perfect, right? So the doors were good, the windows were good, the kitchen was good, the bedrooms, the yard, just everything was good. Then they fine-tuned it, because people, when you move in, of course you're going to come with your carpets, your furniture, your stuff. Just you just make a few changes and stuff like that. I speak like I know, I probably don't. I live at home, but I assume that's what people do. And then they finally moved in and they were so excited about it, right? So in the first year they were good and they were like, oh my god, how did we get so lucky, Then in the second year, now into the second year, they started having issues, right? So the doors didn't shut properly. They took the doors off their hinges, or they shaved off some wood here and there. Then that problem was solved, right? And then the windows wouldn't open. Then there were small cracks appearing on the walls. Then they made repairs about that problem. But then there were more problems coming on. And then he says finally there was a crack in the foundation. And then, so the crack in the foundation became obvious. Then eventually the sewer lines broke, causing extensive damage in the house, right? So at this point, they could not fix it anymore, right? So they got a consultant. The consultant came and told them, by the way, this place where your property is was land that had a shallow leak, right? So when the house was being built, the foundation couldn't withstand the shifting forces of the ground. So essentially they had to break down the house and then bring it back up. Imagine how much money that spent. So anyway, that's what happened. So they had to tear down the house because that couldn't be fixed. Even though they tried to fix the small problems that were coming, they couldn't fix the actual problem. So then we go into the next subtopic, which is the missing ingredient, right? And here he talks about how if you look at relationship patterns, that's exactly how it is, right? So everyone is looking for the right person, and we're all looking in bars, clubs, church, on the internet, like, dating sites and stuff like that. And that just, and he just like he draws a comparison, right, between how people are looking for the perfect person, like the right person, to what this couple was going through. And what happens is, like, you find someone, you fall in love, you get married, cool, right? Then he says what happens after that. And he talks about how the divorce rate is rising so fast. So it's like 50% of married women have indicated that if not for finances and children, they would leave their husbands. Then it says, okay, first of all, 60% of marriages end in divorce. And I'm thinking he's using statistics in the US because I'm thinking that's where he's from. And so he says 60% of marriages end in divorce. 50% of married women have indicated that if not for finances and children, they would leave their husbands. So that leaves 20% of marriages that would even survive if the partners felt they had a reasonable choice to leave. So, and then he says, of the marriages that remain, only a small number are genuinely happy. So many counselors say that 1 to 2% of all married couples achieve relationships that are as rewarding as they had once hoped. So I bring in these statistics because, first of all, I'm in university. If you haven't watched my semester recap, please go back, go back, go back. But we have one lecturer who says if you want to convince somebody of something, or if you want to bring up policies, because the unit is called public policy, and he talks about like the important thing when you're trying to come up with policies and stuff like that is bringing up statistics, right? Because statistics actually they convince people, because if you talk about statistics, then it's like, oh, actually this is a true problem, it needs to be solved. So that's why I brought up those statistics. So anyway, so he talks about that, right? And he says that um, most relationships out here just like he actually poses the question, like, why is there so much divorce if people are coming into this marriage with love and intending to live forever? Yeah. So he talks about how, like, he just says it's horrifying that we have a 98% failure rate in marriage, and the rate of lousy dates is much, much worse, right? Then he says, but instead of stopping everything until we figure out what's wrong, we keep repeating the same patterns over and over, creating the same statistics, right? And then he gives a suggestion that it just might be time to finally investigate what's wrong with the process we use to find partners and to create relationships. And that actually is what sparked me wanting to talk about this video, about this chapter, is because, like, it's interesting because he actually brings up statistics of like marriages that don't work, and then he says that maybe the problem is not just this one marriage, maybe the problem is how we as a society is looking at relationships and how we're going into them. First of all, I'm going to say I'm not in a relationship, yeah? So I'm not even going to speak from a place where, like, I understand relationships, which is why I am talking through that book, you know? I'm using someone else's knowledge, not my own, because I'm not speaking from experience. But the reason why I think this is so important is because, like, a lot of people are getting into relationships right now. And if I speak about people in my generation, I'm 20 years old. So I'm just giving you a bit of a context about the people I'm talking about. When we talk about people in my generation, there's so many people who are at 20 years old are saying, I've given up on love. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be judgmental, but it's like you're only 20 years old. Like, how have you given up on love already? You know what I'm saying? Actually, side note, I saw a really, really funny post. It was saying something like, because, Cardi B signed divorce or something, divorce papers or something like that. And the post actually just said something like, your parents have been together for 30 years, but then you see Cardi B leaving Offset, a person that you don't know in person, and then you say you don't believe in love. And it's that actually, the reason why I bring that up is because it's very interesting how we use other people's lives as an example of what we want. And I think it's a good trait because I have it. Like, I would not make the same mistake someone else has made. Like, why would I do that? But I think ultimately the fact that we look at these other people who, like, we don't even know their situation, we don't even know what happened, we don't know, this problem could be deep rooted. It could have started 10 years ago and only now became like full blown. But then we want to use this 1 minute of contact we have with them to show that this is like the basis of love. This is the couple that has shown me that there's true love. Like, bro, come on. Anyway, that was just a bit of a side note. So that whole intro is just talking about the importance of looking for the problem in relationships. Like, why are relationships breaking down so fast? Why are they not working? Why, like, what is the actual problem? Like, we need to find that out. So the next subtopic is real love. In this topic, actually, he begins by saying a healthy relationship is a natural result of two healthy individuals. Now, that was very important because I'm getting ready to get married. I'm joking. Lol, no. Because, like, I'm also getting to an age where I'm like, oh, relationships seem cool. Wow, that's so nice, blah, blah, blah. So, it's just one of those things where when you see people breaking up so fast, you're just like, oh my God, what's happening? But even more than that, when you see that, like, there's so many people who are not serious about getting into relationships, because now, I mean, I'm not saying that this is how everybody should look at a relationship, but I feel like a relationship is for marriage, right? But not everybody thinks relationships are for marriage. And that's okay because, that's what you ascribe to. But then I find that in society right now, and even in my generation, there's so many people who are like, they don't think like that, right? So there's people who don't want to get married, which is all fine and dandy because it's everyone's decision. But then there's people who like don't know what they want, but then they don't want to be honest about the fact that maybe they don't want something long term. And then what happens is like you have this entire group of people who are just playing with each other, and I see a lot of that. And it's like, if someone isn't serious, like, please just walk out. Like, I mean, like, if you see that okay, for example, if you see that the girl is very serious about this relationship and you're not serious about it, just leave it. Just like break up with her and be like, okay, this isn't working. Actually, matter of fact, don't even ask her out. But anyway, wow. And the other way around as well, if a girl sees that she's not really looking for a relationship and this guy is very serious about it, maybe just let him know that this is not working. It's just not happening. But then I feel like people just get into things, and then they're out here just doing whatever they want, and then people are heartbroken, and people are crying, and then all of a sudden people are so broken that they don't want relationships. And then I'm just like, we're 20 years old, like, why are we struggling with this? Like, you're 20, like, you're just 20. Like, I don't understand it. But anyway, so the whole idea of two healthy individuals made me think a lot about my own life, because I'm like if I have these very strong opinions on relationships, yeah, like, what do I need for me to be able to get into a relationship with somebody, right? So, like, how do you make yourself ready for a relationship? Is that even a thing? I don't know. Let me know, people with experience. There's a part in the book where he says a great relationship is much like a beautiful duet played on two instruments. Before we can meaningfully participate in a duet, however, we must learn how to play an instrument by ourselves. And this part I relate with because I am a musician and I sing, and so, like, it makes sense when he says, like, it's like a beautiful duet. That's what a great relationship is supposed to be. Because essentially, when you listen to duets, like, you ultimately don't want to hear one person who is off and the other person is okay. So, for example, a song that I'm gonna reference for a very beautiful duet is a song like, I think it's called The Prayer by Celine Dion and Andrea Bocelli. The one that they do together, it's so good. That duet is so beautiful. Like, it's actually really, really, really nice, especially when they go into the part where they're singing in, I think it's Italian. Oh my God, you guys, like, that's such a beautiful duet. But you see, these are two very great musicians who came together, and of course they practiced. They didn't just come on stage one day and they were like, okay, cool, we're gonna do it. Like, they must have practiced it, whether together or individually, they practiced, and so in that sense, I really like that fact. And then now he goes into this part where he says after World War One, there were a great number of orphans in Europe, and to fix this problem, they came up with orphanages, but these kids were just dying. Like, these orphanages had like the best hygiene, best nutrition, medical care, shelter. It was good, but then there was 90% of the infants who, like, literally, oh, no, 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 sorry, wrong. It says at about the same time, the orphanages in the US reporting death rates as high as 90% of their infants. So in Europe, they had these orphanages, and three-fourths of their infants died in under 1 year. And then in the US, the orphanages, 90% of their infants were dying, right? And all of them were receiving good nutrition and medical care, proper shelter, proper, just good nutrition, and hygiene. Then, over a period of many years, civil authorities began to abandon orphanages in favor of placement in foster homes. So in these foster homes, the kids actually survived even more, is what he says. And it's not that they were eating better food, it's not that they had better like healthcare, it's not nothing like that. It just says that like the kids just had more love, right? So if a child cried, they were stroked and petted and stuff like that. That's in a foster home, as compared to an orphanage where he says that there was not that much attention to the child because there's so many children, right? So he says they literally died of a lack of love, which is so interesting because I'm like, people actually can die of a lack of love. I don't know how true that is, but that's, that's something great Leah says. So that's really cool. And then he says, to this day, we all have some urgent need for affection as these orphans. And that's exactly what human beings are. Like, we all want affection. We all want someone to love us. We all want to be loved in a way. And the reason why this video is so weird for me is because I feel like it's one of those, it's like vulnerability. It's me putting myself in a place where I'm saying, I actually really, really want love, even though half the time I act like I don't really care, but like, that's just what it is. So we all want that, right? But then he says, not just any kind of love will do. The foundation of every healthy relationship is real love, which is unconditional love, right? And he talks about unconditional love being like the kind of love that you love someone regardless, right? And he says, without real love, we can only struggle desperately to find a happiness that will never come. Because, and he says, with real love, nothing else matters. Without it, nothing else is enough. And I'm just going to put that quote over here, and you can screenshot it, write it down, because I think it's so important. With real love, nothing else matters. Without it, nothing else is enough. And that's so good because it's actually very true. Like, without, like, with real love, like nothing, like it's just, if you don't have real love, then nothing is ever enough. So you're just always gonna feel like, I have to do this for people to like me, I have to be like this for people to like me. And the thing with that is, now I'm just gonna go into talking about myself. We've more or less just finished the book stuff. Actually, let me just mention one thing. It says that it's real love only when I'm flawed and foolish, when I get in your way and don't do as you wish, but you don't feel disappointed or irritated with me. So the whole idea of real love and conditional love is that with real love, regardless of what I do to you, you still love me, right? With conditional love, I only love you when you do this for me, right? And he talks about how conditional love is about, look what you did to me, look at what you should have done for me, how dare you have inconvenienced the true center of the universe, who is who, me. That's what conditional love is about. And I feel like this world right now, we're so full of conditional love that it's actually very disturbing, and it's very sad for me because I feel like I have experienced a lot of conditional love, and whether or not it's been true, like I feel like I have, like for so long I felt like I have to be a certain way for me to be loved. Even now, doing such a video, I'm just like, oh my god, are people gonna love me? Oh my god, that kind of thing where it's like, I'm so scared to be my most authentic self because I feel like people will not like me like that. And it's like, already I'm like a pretty weird person. I am very loud. I have very strong opinions about things all the time, and it's just one of those things where I've always been so scared to be my authentic self because I've always felt like, will people love me when I am like this? Will they? But then essentially, if we think of, if this is how I am and you don't love me like that, then maybe we're not supposed to be, that kind of thing. Where it's like, if you don't love me the way I am, then maybe we're not meant to be. But then I think also, like, there's a very thin line between making compromises for people and also just being a good person, being a good human being. Because you, as in, sometimes people like to say, oh, I'm just like this, but that's a really, really mean person and you're mean to people, and then you want to say, if you don't like me like this, or like goodbye and some stuff like that. And I'm like, for sure, I'm gone, because that's mean. Like, there's a difference between being mean and just being the person that you are. Yeah, so basically, I just think like there's a lot of conditional love going around, and like people can be very, very mean about it. And if I just speak for myself, I technically go around saying I don't really care about a lot of things. And to be honest, I do care about things, but then half the time I really don't. I noticed that I don't like about mainstream stuff. I don't really pay attention. My brother is always like, "And yeah, I went in shamba too." And it's true, meaning shamba. Like I literally, like, the truth is I don't pay attention to stuff. And I remember having a conversation with my friend yesterday actually, and she said something like she's trying to block out the noise. And I remember thinking that's exactly what I do. Like I usually just block out the noise. And in my bid to block out the noise, then I end up not caring about a lot of things, and then I seem like a really, really mean person at the end of the day. And it's like I'm really, really kind. Like I don't know if kind people actually say that they're kind, but I would like to put it out there. I'm a very kind person, and I like making friends. So if you want to be my friend, please just hit me up. I love it. So anyway, my point is, the point of this was just like there's so much conditional love going around, and I think even if we think about when like how we bring up children and how we were brought up, because I can only speak from my own experience, like just always feeling like if I don't do what my parents want, then they're not going to love me, or if I don't do it the way they want me to, then they're not going to love me. If I do this thing that they don't like, then they will not love me, you know. And I feel like for me, I've grown up feeling like that for very long, and it's not anything that my parents have done or anything that my family has done to make me feel like that. I think sometimes you just have a lot of self-esteem issues, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you just have your own issues, and like for me it's just always been an issue until today. I still have that issue where I'm like, if I do this, then they won't like me, or if I do this, then they're not gonna love me, or this person is not going to like me, or I'm never gonna find love if I don't become like this, you know, that kind of thing, where I feel like it's always evolving. Like my insecurity about the whole thing is always evolving and changing and growing. It's not even like just evolving, it's growing. Because like more and more I start to think, oh my god, is anybody going to love me when I'm this loud, or when I have this many opinions, or when I don't like cooking, or when I don't like doing this, or when I don't like cleaning the house, or when I don't like, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like you're just always putting yourself under this microscope where like you must fit into this box for you to be loved. And I feel like I'm so over that. Like it's literally it's the thing that I'm really most over. In my other video I talk about how, I think it's the September recap video, where I talk about how like I felt so much that I needed to feel this way because everybody was expecting me to feel this specific way, and I wasn't feeling this way, and it was so frustrating to me. And it's just that thing of like always letting outside voices into my head and just letting my inner voices also just haunt me and just be like, you're not going to be loved, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. And I really thought about doing a video about like my insecurities and stuff like that, but I don't know if that's gonna come. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll be feeling especially vulnerable, and I'll be like, yes, let us do this. But it's just that thing where like so many insecurities get to you, and granted, there's people who actually genuinely have conditional love, and I think it's really the worst thing because we're bringing up a, a society of people full of conditional love. Because I think even for me, I can say for very long, like we always just say, if someone is not serving you, let them go, right? And that's okay. It's cool. Like you don't have to be friends with everyone. That's not something that I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say like even that whole idea of it can be very detrimental. It can be very dangerous because then it becomes like don't it becomes like don't compromise. But even more than don't compromise, do not like everyone must fit your box, you know, because you're the entire world. And it's like you're really not the entire world. And even myself, like if I think about it, I'm quite selfish. I've experienced times when I have actually given conditional love, and I have proved that I have a lot of conditional love that I can give. But then I'm trying more and more to give unconditional love to all my friends and to all the people around me, because I feel like unconditional love is really cool, and I just want to be the kind of person who gives unconditional love. Like that's my one dream. That's the one thing I really, really want to do. I just want to be one of those people who give unconditional love, like the kind of person who like my friends would be like, oh my god, if even if I tell her like I killed somebody, she wouldn't hate me, you know. Like I really, really am striving to be that kind of person, and I really, really hope that I manage to be that kind of person. Let me know if you have experienced times where you felt conditional love being given to you. Like, how did you deal with that? What do you think about the whole conditional love and unconditional love thing? Like, how do you feel about it? Like, did this video trigger you? Did actually, if you reach the end and it's like 25 minutes, did it trigger you? Like, at this point, if you reached here, just comment down below, like, I've reached, just be like, I'm the G, I am the one. Just say stuff like that, because, like, you're truly the one. And there's something else I wanted to say, but I don't remember. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you've actually reached here, just give it, like it. Just give it a thumbs up, because you've reached the end. And if you've reached the end and you haven't subscribed, just subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you can get notified every single time I post a new video. All right, see you next time. Bye.